Oh, what up, what up? Welcome back to RSQ. It's been a fun weekend. We've had the chance to film a lot of videos. And today, we're doing our Girl with All the Gifts review.
True. We finished it, finally finished a book in a week instead of dragging on like with the Bloodsworn. But
Yeah,
we were enjoying the world while we were in it, so.
it was a short book. I think it was probably only like 3 or 4 days of actual reading time for the two of us. And then by the time we got around to connecting, it was a full week. But here we are. We did it. Go with All the Gifts.
400
Let's
pages,
Nice and short, simple read, not too tough.
but
But
enjoyable all the same. Let's get right
yeah,
into it.
without further ado, let's do it. Our favorite theme of all, our favorite one to always talk about, character development. Where'd you fall on this one?
I I gave them a full point. I feel like Melanie went from just being this girl who knows nothing except, hey, I'm trapped in a school type thing, to actually being understanding that she's a person, but also not a person at all. And I forget how old she is, like 12 or something like that. Um,
Yeah, I don't know if it ever says.
yeah, if it's around that age. But she's like genius level IQ, and you can see how like quickly she figures things out and like understands the world around her. That's pretty sweet. And I thought the even I guess the other main character, Sergeant Parks, I feel like went from high on this, big ol' military man to actually having dynamic feelings and thoughts. What about you?
I went with a half point here. I had a tough time deciding if I wanted to go with a full point or a half point. I felt like the screen time for the characters was really good. The characters, I felt like we got enough of a look into their heads, but I
Mhm.
also felt like at times they were really shallow. Dr. Caldwell, I felt like was the same one dimensional person the whole time. No evolution, no changes. There were a couple of things that Sergeant Parks to me like changed a bit, but the characters didn't feel very deep. Like they were wide but not deep. If that makes sense. Like we got enough of a look at the characters that I'm giving it a half point, but I didn't feel like we really dove into the characters and like watched them grow and develop.
That's fair. I feel like they were the characters that did grow were put in situations that made them grow. Like I felt like Sergeant Parks grew, or at least we saw that he got more well rounded as we went. Maybe he didn't grow, but instead of seeing like this one dimensional view, we got some other perspectives. I will agree that Caldwell was the same character throughout.
And Gallagher too. I felt like Gallagher was just the same. He felt like I don't know if I witnessed anything changing with him. There were
I felt like
like
his lack of character development, though, was actually development, if that makes
I could
sense.
see that based on his character being like he's just gonna be stay the same and die the same.
Like he
The
was given opportunities in situations where he could have changed, and like he was about to, and then in the end, right before he died, he was the same person. He was just a coward.
I could see that, but I'm still going with a half point.
That's fine.
Yeah, we
It's
can
your review.
disagree.
You can be
It's
wrong.
okay. Dang. Oof.
Originality and creativity. How you feeling?
0.5. I went with a half point here. Um, it was just a zombie book. I felt like the theme half point because I felt like the theme was a bit creative of focusing on a child who, or not the theme, the basic idea of it's like a child who also has a genius level IQ but's also infected. That was like a little creative to me, but I'm not super up on the latest like zombie media. So maybe this is not creative, maybe it's not unique, but at least to me it was like this isn't the typical zombie one I hear every day.
So I agreed with the zero 0.5. The reason I gave it 0.5 was, so like you said, kind of like the setting and who we were focusing on. The actual story itself was unique, but the overarching like world and setting it's The Last of Us. I mean, if
Yeah,
you're familiar with the game or the show, it's literally the cordyceps fungus infects human brain and they become zombies. Which it's popular right now, and it's a cool enough thing to where like you could do a bunch of different stories about it. So it's cool, but I wouldn't give it a unique,
yeah.
point for
Fair
that.
enough. Fair enough. Next one is story end slash wrap up. I almost skipped one there. We
I'm good
disagreed here
about it.
too.
I gave it a 1. I liked the beginning of the book. The middle of the book was, I felt like kind of dragged a little bit. I'll get into that. But the end of the book I really liked. It wasn't that I felt like wasn't very typical. I felt like we got something unique there with, hey, there's a way we could go about this, and we chose to basically end the world so it could restart. I like that.
Yeah,
Normally we get a happy ending. It is a happy ending, but it's not. I like
it's
that.
true. Yeah, I went with a half point here. Just like I don't know, the conclusion just didn't do it for me. Like I felt like what happened was it wasn't that I was like, wow, where's my happy ending? It was more just like, what was the point, right? Like, what was like, why did the story? Why am I being told this story? Like, it felt like I was along for a ride that ended early. I guess like I was on a roller
Yeah.
coaster that stopped 75% of the way through, and I'm like, but what now? Like, if this is an examination of Melanie or humanity surrounding Melanie, what's the resolution? Or if this is like an examination around a child zombie who might carry the keys to the future, then what's the resolution? And so I was like half point because it did end and the ending was well thought out. But where it left off, I was like, okay, so what's the main story here? Are we looking at the world in light of the infection? In which case, that's not very unique. Are we looking at Melanie's story? Or are we looking at just these characters, right?
Yeah. I would have liked to have gotten something else at the end. Like, I feel like they set it up really well for a sequel, but at the same token, they did a good job, I feel like, of it's kind of up to our um
Imagination.
interpretation, I guess, on how
Yeah, I
this
could
ends
see
up
that.
playing out.
World building.
World building and setting.
Yeah, I went with the one author. I felt like you have it easy when you use a world that already exists. You know, it was still like the descriptions of the world were good. The places they went felt real. Describing the different like types of hungries they ran into felt real. It was well described. It was well thought out. But you know, it's not like she had to build a world from scratch.
No, it's nice and it kind of already has a I guess a recipe you can follow. Hey, this is the world. It's ended. Think chaos, and that's kind of it. Everything's falling apart. But they did. It was nice. We even like when we went to the gas station with Gallagher and stuff. I didn't have to like make up in my head what it looks like. I was
Yeah,
told what it looked like, and the little holes that were there were obvious. So it's like I didn't. I felt like it was written well
yeah, I
enough in
agree.
that
Easy point from each of
aspect.
us.
Easy point.
The next one is another one we disagreed on. Pacing and structure. What'd you think?
I gave it 0.5. Like I was saying, I really enjoyed the beginning, and then so they escaped the complex. They were trying to figure out what to do, and that whole middle area, I really don't like traveling. I guess really bothers me in books. It just feels so slow, especially when I feel like not a lot went on. It was just a lot of arguing between the characters, and they were, I guess, figuring out their roles and everything. But I don't know. It kind of felt a little slow to me. So
Yeah.
that's why I gave it the half. But
Hey man, it's not the destination, it's the journey. Journey before destination.
wait a minute, where have we heard that before?
What's that from? Ba, 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 ba. Yeah, I went with the whole point here. I see it's an interesting place that it's interesting that we disagree here because this is actually where I felt like the bulk of the development happened was during the travel. Like watching Parks come to trust Melanie and
Yeah,
I like it
it
was
felt it wasn't an engaging. I mean, I
I
see what you're saying. It just wasn't engaging enough for me.
Yeah, I probably would have rated the pacing differently if they had arrived somewhere and that was the like main resolution. But since it was like it ends with them traveling, that's like the main journey. The main destination was the journey, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I still get why it felt slow in some parts. But I think I read it. It's weird. Another thing that really affects me is how long it takes me to read a book. And when a book feels slow and is long, I am more judgmental in the pacing. But this one, I read it pretty quick, so the pacing, I didn't feel like I had to sit in slow scenes.
Well,
So
that makes sense. I mean, that's essentially just how the pacing works. If you have a
yeah,
slower book, you have to have things, or not a slower book, excuse me, a shorter book. Things have to move faster, or else you're missing. You're not going to be able to tell a
it's
story if
true.
you're focusing too
You
heavily
just don't have
on.
time.
No, move
But
along.
but
Also,
anyway,
quick side note: did you notice the
I
shirt I'm wearing
did
today?
the Red
Feel the
Rising
back,
shirt. Hail Libertas, Hail Reaper. Where'd
covered
that
in
shirt
hair.
come from?
My buddy got it for me. It was you, Dakota.
That's a nice shirt. That's cool.
It's very comfy, actually. I was gonna wash it. Normally, I wash the shirt before I get it, but it was so soft and it didn't smell like factory like some shirts do. I was like, boom, wearing it.
What if they start taking like Axe body spray and burying it all, like that's their factory smell, is just Axe body spray all over new shirts?
I would be all about
I would be here for that too.
Abercrombie and Fitch me, baby.
Abercrombie and Fitch me.
All right.
Anyways,
Emotional impact. Are you feeling emotional? How you feeling here?
yeah, I went with the full point here. The themes surrounding Melanie of humanity, I felt like were emotionally moving enough. The like, is she real? Does she deserve to live? Do these kids deserve to live? How should we feel about this? It felt emotionally moving enough to me.
I would agree. And I liked how with Miss Justin, her like want and need to protect her, even though she wasn't technically like a real person, and everything was moving because she kind of like not replacing a daughter, but so she's like trying to make up for what she did in the past
Yeah,
type thing. And even though it was kind of selfish, I think it turned into a more like maternal relationship.
it connected on an emotional level. Boom. Yeah, simple. Not much to say. Um, the next one, writing style and prose.
I only gave this a half point. I felt like we're just like stutter reading in the beginning. Sometimes when you go for like a new author or it's just somebody you haven't, or a genre change or something, kind of you're like stuttering reading at first because either there's just words that you're not used to using, or I just felt like the sentence structure though was not very. This is what happened. Period. This is what happened. Period. It wasn't wasn't flowy enough.
No, I agree. I gave it a half point here as well. One of the big things for me, I felt like the I felt like the POVs were shifting really erratically for no reason. Like it wasn't like we're getting like, I don't know. It was just like, why are we changing point of views here? It doesn't really seem like this is a spot to change. It was just like suddenly it's a different person talking, and I was like, okay,
And like with that, I had to reread the past sentence to see if I
yeah,
missed it. It wasn't like there's no segue. It was just
right,
clean
yeah. It
break.
definitely could have. It could have at least had like chapter breaks and been like Dr. Justin, Sergeant Parks, Melanie, but it was just like, who is speaking right now? Wait, what did I miss here? What was my
Same
thought
paragraph
palace?
too. There was no like.
Yeah, that felt really erratic. So I agree with you. The prose was a little choppy to me.
And tangent for another video, actually, I wanted to bring this up because this book actually reminded me of it. So at the chapter beginnings, it's just a number, right? 47.
Hmm.
That's okay. But I like chapter names a
Me too.
lot. I want a one new chapter and it'd be like the Golden Compass. And I'm like, shoot, what is that? I want to know how we got here. Why did we choose the title for this chapter? But a lot of books don't do that, especially POV books. They're just like, now we're talking about Melanie. Now we're talking about this person. And I don't like that.
Yeah, in this day and age, AI could do it for you in a few minutes. Name my chapters for me. Give me 3 options for each, and that would probably still be fine. I probably would be like, oh, cool chapter names.
Not that I'm supporting AI doing all that work. I'm just saying.
I'm just saying. There's no
It's out there. The
excuse. There's no
tools are there.
excuse.
Where do we end up on the tangent? Engaging
Uh,
storyline?
yeah, we gave prose 0.5. Engaging storyline is where we were next.
Yeah. I gave this a 0.5 as well. For you there.
Yeah, me too. This was this was like I cared about the characters and where they were. This was like what I already started to rant about a little bit. I cared about the characters and where they were going, but like, what was the storyline? What was the? That's why I had so much trouble giving the ending a full point, because it was like,
Yeah.
what is the resolution to the story? What is the story? What is the story I'm along for the ride on? Right?
And it's one of those weird things where it's like, we want character development. It's one of our favorite things. But when your story is only focused on the characters and it doesn't give enough into the story, like the characters can only carry you so far. You should have a good story or a story with characters that kind of carry you along. And these characters, they were held back by the story, I feel like.
Yeah. In the words of Thanos, it needs to be perfectly balanced.
Sure.
Yeah, half point there.
Half point, 0.5.
The next one is meaningful themes and depth.
That's an easy one.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, I felt like we got, and I know you'll go into a little bit more, but I felt like the themes of humanity were just it's a zombie book. You're gonna have that, but I felt like this one they did it pretty well.
Yeah, that's where I felt like this stood out, right? Was the
Mhm.
what does it mean to be a human? What does it mean to be a person? Is it I think therefore I am? Because like Melanie was thinking, but they didn't consider her to be a human. For most of the book, they considered her to be infected and dead, and they were like she shouldn't have rights.
That's the thing. So let's talk about Parks. Did he really change his thought on her, or is she a tool?
That's exactly what I was going to say. So that goes back to character development, to the my feelings on it being a little shallow, a little one dimensional. Like he didn't grow a ton. He trusted her to control herself, said she could be a useful tool. I don't think he was like, wow, she's a human. I care for her.
I don't think that shows lack of development. I just because he wouldn't have never used her before, but I think he realized like situations change, my opinions need to change. But you can only change so much. You can't expect someone to go, black to white. There's got to be that
That's
gray
true.
gradient in there.
Yeah. It's just like for me, I think he was always I think you could judge how he reacted to situations throughout the whole book on a cost benefit analysis. And in the beginning, Melanie was a danger. Kill her, get her out of here. She's not worth it. She'll infect us, she'll kill us, not worth it. And then she proved her worth to him. And he was like, okay, useful tool. She can scout, she can take care of us, she can get past the hungries. So
Yeah, he's very prioritize let high acuity, low acuity situations. Let's, base all of our information based or our choices based on that.
but yeah, the themes were good, and then even the typical apocalyptic themes of like, what's the cost of the greater good worth? Like, should Melanie have been dissected if it made it that they could cure the plague? What's the cost of the greater good worth?
Yeah. And that
Good
brings us
themes.
also back to The Last of Us. It's the exact same theme throughout was is the cost of one life worth saving everybody else? Like how much
Mm,
is one life worth?
didn't know
Which
that.
I like those themes. Those are heavy themes. Things to think about.
Yeah, if I had seen or read or watched or played The Last of Us, I probably would feel similar. Like this is just not that unique, but I
It
haven't
is
consumed it.
100% worth doing still because you've got a PC. Well, you got a PlayStation 2, but I think it's free on PlayStation right now. It's worth
Oh,
checking out. 100%. It is one of my favorite story games of all time.
all right. And then on to rereadability and lasting impact.
Um, I gave this a 0.
Why? You don't think you'll think about this book anymore? You don't think it stood out? It stood out in your mind?
I enjoyed it while I was in it, but now that I'm done, I'm not going to be comparing this to other books. I don't think I'll be thinking about this anytime soon. If I pass by it on the shelf, I'll be like, "Oh yeah, I read that," but I'm not going to be like, "Oh yeah, those characters." Just wasn't it was a good book, but I'll just gonna leave it there.
Yeah, I gave it a half point. I Melanie impacted me enough for this to have a lasting impact and me to be like, huh, yeah, that was the themes there. They stood out in my mind, but I wouldn't read it again. And kind of like you said, I'm like, okay, the book's done. I'm onto the shelf. So didn't get a whole point. Half point for me, 0 points from you.
Yeah, that's okay though. How we feeling? Is this getting the absolute banger sticker?
Well, no, wasn't a banger.
Wasn't a banger. It was good. Not a banger.
Yeah, RSQ recommended.
I'll give it a yes.
Yeah, same. I
Especially if you like zombie books. And I guess I don't actually my brain just shut off right there. If you
it's
like
a
if
it's a short, enjoyable read. Like it's got it's a post-apocalyptic world. It's got some good action scenes. It's got some like suspense and some thrills. It's worth reading, especially if you're into this kind of genre. But is it gonna like slam it out of the park? No. But still, worth a read. Looking for something to read, looking for something short, easy, standalone. Yeah, you can read it. Check it out. Let us know what you think.
What do you think? That's The Girl with All the Gifts by M.R. Carey. 400 pages.
But other than that, we spun the wheel already. That video's up. And now we're going to read Dark Matter by Blake Crouch.
Yes, very excited. That's another sci-fi book we're headed into here. We've kind of been on a well, I guess Bloodsworn was technically fantasy, but
Yeah.
I feel like we're in a good spot between fantasy and sci-fi and keeping it fresh in our different worlds that we're visiting and stuff too, which is always fun.
and I think we forgot to say it, but we gave Girl with All the Gifts a 7 out of 10.
7 out of 10.
Equivalent to a 3.5 if you're using a regular Goodreads scale. But
Mm-hmm.
7
Yeah,
out
you
of
should be
10.
using our scale
Because our
it's
scale
better.
is superior. That's the whole reason we made it.
It's more room to judge things. Humans love to judge. This is a
It's
safe
true.
space.
Yeah.
It's a safe
Three,
space.
like 3.5 sounds low. 7 sounds high. So what is it? What do you think?
Let us know.
But anyways, that's all for Girl with All the Gifts. Catch our other videos for Dark Matter content, and then eventually our Dark Matter review.
We'll see you guys next time on RSQ.
Have a good one.